I'm Dr. Ryan DeBell from The Movement Fix. This is Movement Fix Monday. I'm here again with Dr. Wes Hendricks at Reebok CrossFit Back Bay. What are we talking about?
We're talking about
video.
Isometrics with regards to handstand positioning.
Okay. Why do we care so much about handstand positioning? And what are the things that go awry, the things that go wrong that we need to get people to work on if they're going to be spending a lot of time, upside down on their hands?
So that broken spinal position, right at that kind of TL junction.
So what is a TL junction?
That transition.
So point on me.
Okay, so we're going to say right about there.
And that's when people get in the handstand, they're like,
oh, it's the same thing with that barbell overhead.
Yeah.
They can't go any further, so instead
where do they go? Right. So it's like, if someone, they don't know how to get in that position, or maybe their shoulders are tight, or they don't know how to hold tension.
Yeah, sometimes it's
they
just
make
awareness
up for that, right? Yeah. I mean, isn't that like always, not always the case, but it's underappreciated how maybe it's just they don't know how to do it.
It's just it's like a feel thing.
Yeah, because like if it's not a mobility issue, just stretching out your shoulders is not going to make that go away.
Yeah.
Right? Because if that's just the way you do it, you have to retrain that, which is why working on the positions is so important. So you're going to show us like a kick up.
Yeah, let me kick up into a bad handstand, what that broken position looks like.
Yeah, and I'll kind of analyze. I'll analyze your spine.
I appreciate that.
So don't kick me. Okay, so if you look here, you can see, where you just drop right into this
I'm going to have back pain later.
Right in here. And it's like, it's almost relaxed though, because you're loading the facet joints in your spine. So you're taking you're not having to actively hold it muscularly. So in doing that, you can just relax on the structure of your spine. So like
people get stuck there and they kind of hinge through it too.
Yeah,
that made my back not feel so good.
What do we do about it?
I just hurt myself.
So it's like muscularly easier to do that.
Yeah.
But you're doing it at the expense of loading the joint. So I was actually just working on this with someone last week as well, this specific thing. And I think we came to the same conclusion that one of the drills that's really nice for this is doing it reversed, right?
Yeah, chest to wall.
So chest to wall. Why would that make it easier?
So it's not so much just easier, it makes it so you really can't overextend in that position. It gives them the cue of the wall to almost force their chest or extend their thoracic spine into the wall. And it gives more cues or reinforces that better position.
So it's kind of like you starting a wall walk, right?
Yeah, more like you can start in a wall walk.
Except a good wall walk.
A good wall, yeah.
Not like a super sloppy wall walk.
We're not doing these things for time.
Wall walks, I think, should be done precisely and controlled.
I don't disagree with that.
So show us how, what that looks like. The way you do it with your chest facing the wall.
Yeah.
And then I'll talk about, kind of like how your spine
position, everything. Okay.
What are you doing on this one?
I'm gonna kick up into a cut.
Oh, fancy. So we don't necessarily expect people to do it as fancy as you, but you can see here, this is much more aligned. Like you're not loading and hinging through this part of, or Wes isn't through this part of his spine here, and so. I don't know if I'm going to ask you to talk while you're upside down.
I can make an attempt at it for you.
So what are you thinking position-wise with your spine when you do this?
So I'm thinking a few things. I'm thinking about actually extending and bringing my chest towards the wall.
Like from right here?
Yes, exactly. Kind of in between your shoulder blades or your scapula.
And you're actively pushing down to the ground
I'm pushing through the floor too.
So like from here, you're pushing this down, like you're spearing your arms into the ground.
I love that explanation of spearing.
Spear that. From this point right here, this is the edge of the shoulder blade, and it's like this is a spear and it's going whoosh, down into the ground.
And the sound effects.
You like that?
Yep.
I've been working on those just for you.
I appreciate that.
So
and then I'm also
you're able to do this for a really long time. Huh?
I appreciate it. I spent a lot of time.
It's like you've been working on this a lot recently.
I might have been doing a decent amount of this in the last few weeks.
Yeah. So go ahead and hop down. Okay. So let's say someone, they can't get fully inverted that way, where they're that close to the wall.
Yeah.
Like how can someone progress to that?
Just walk your hands out.
So you'd start rather than being, here, you might have the person start here or here.
Absolutely.
Working on the similar thing though, where you're not hinging through that thoracolumbar junction.
Kind of ribs down position that we talk about a lot. Hollow body position you can think of too.
Yeah.
But just walk the hands further out. If you're not comfortable, if you're afraid you're going to get stuck in that position, don't go up there that high.
So rather than trying to crank out more like kipping handstand push-ups, actually just working on your positions is hugely, extremely valuable. So what would be the prescription for someone to do this? Like how long are they holding? How many times? How many times per week?
So whatever variation you find to be comfortable, I'd start with anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds for let's say 3 sets. As someone gets more and more comfortable, you can progress that to anywhere up to 5 sets of 60-second holds against that wall.
Or, right, like what we've been talking about too is maybe you just stop once it starts to get pretty hard.
Yeah, that too. Go by feel, go by
Does
quality.
that work?
Yeah, I think
Does
that's
it work if
phenomenal.
I don't have a clock going and I just stop when it gets hard?
Yeah, why not? That's going to be safer. It's going to be better. This is a kind of a...
Yeah, the rate of perceived exertion, essentially, right? Like something I've been
I
talking
love that,
about more.
RPEs.
You know, RPE. I think it's something that we need to think about more. You know, people, it's not like we made up RPE. Like clearly it's been around for a long time, but I think it's something that we should consider more that, you know, during your training, like maybe 30 seconds for someone is too hard. Maybe it's too easy.
Yeah.
You know, and they're not getting the stimulus. So if you use the RPE, where 0 is like, it's super, super easy, 10 is the hardest possible it could be, then, you know, maybe you just go till it's a 7 or 8, and then at that point you call it a set. Or, you know, once you start losing your positions, like I can't hold it anymore, that's when you'd kick down. You said a couple times a week would be a good dosage. Like you don't want to do this every day, like 10 times a day.
No, definitely not.
That's a little bit too much.
Especially at first. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a new thing.
Yeah, you're
just
stressing
like
your body in a different way, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's all it is.
Awesome. So that's what we got for you guys this week on Move Fix Monday. Pop into the handstand, chest facing the wall rather than just kipping up. Think about that thoracolumbar junction position, pulling the chest through, spearing your arms.
Spearing him.
And hang out there for a little bit. Where can people follow you?
Dr. Wes Hendricks.
On Instagram, so make sure to check that out. Posting cool stuff. And yeah, that's what we got for you guys. See you next week.